Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becky. You can find me on Instagram as @BeccyKnits and on Ravelry as Becky Monday. Thank you very much for joining me. If this is your first time with me, then thank you for clicking on this video, and if you are a returning viewer, then thank you for coming back. It's been a little while since I podcast, and I know that I said that I was going to put a different video out a couple of weeks ago, but I recorded it and it just wasn't, when I went to edit it I was just like, no, I'm not, my energy levels were just so low that I just thought, no, this is just going to be really not what I want to put out. So I thought maybe I'll just take a couple of weeks off over Easter, build up some more bits to talk about, and then come back with a new podcast. I do want to do my like looking at all the whips, all the things that I'm working on at some point, but yeah, I'm thinking that maybe I'll record that next week and then have that go up in a couple of weeks' time, but we'll see. So I hope you all had a nice Easter, a nice spring break. If you had one of those, we had a really nice time. I'll talk a little bit about that later on, but yeah, I did a reasonable amount of knitting and I've got some exciting things to share. I kind of feel like I've surprised myself sitting down to do the podcast. I planned to do it, but I'd planned to do it at a different time, but then my husband had to go out for an appointment, which I didn't realise he had. So I was like, well, now's the time to sit down and talk. So, finished objects. I've got another one that I haven't picked up and put in my pile, so I'll be back in a second. So I can't remember, I piled everything here, which I don't usually do, and now I see why. I don't know if I actually showed this to you last time or if I finished it. I think I must have finished it after my last podcast, so I will show it to you. Apologies if I've already shown it to you, but hey, we all like to see pretty things, right? So here we are. This was my bookshelf sock that my design that I have been working on. And the first of the pair is all finished. This was just, I just needed to knit the heel in and make sure that that worked then with when the pattern came back in after the heel turn. And yeah, so very excitingly, if you follow me on Instagram then you will know this is out with test knitters. I've had lots of really great feedback. And the pattern is like, I'm gonna wait until the end of the test knit because I gave my test knitters a month to work on it, and yeah, but it's going well. So I think that will hopefully be ready to publish next month, which just feels like so great. It's been like nearly a year that I've been working on this pattern, and I'm just so happy to finally be able to share it with everybody. Yeah, so the yarn that I used for this sample is Flash Dance, a sock set from a homespun house. Yeah, so there we go. But yeah, the feedback from my test knitters has just been like so lovely, and I've just been like, it's been so exciting to see other people knitting it. And so yeah, if you go over to Instagram, I'm going to start a highlight, I think, because I've been sharing pictures that people have been sharing of their test knits, and I'm going to make a highlight so that you can always like go and have a look at other people's socks and see how it looks in different kinds of yarn. Yeah, so that's really exciting. Thank you very much to my test knitters who are doing a fantastic job. And yeah, exciting that the pattern will be ready soon. So yeah, so that's that one. The next FO is kind of like, it was like a surprise. I don't know, like I don't really know why I got back to it. I think I was making these, so these are for my husband Andrew. These are Second Breakfast by Sock Witchery in a yarn from Noodle Soup, which is a local to me dyer. I was working on another pair of socks for Andrew, and I think I just was like, oh, hang on, I've already got a pair that's almost done, so maybe I should finish these first and then work more on the other one. I don't really know. I was just like, I just picked it up. I think I was closer to the end than I thought I was. So yeah, I haven't successfully cast on the second sock yet, so maybe I'll do that today. But every time I cast on, I was getting, like, I didn't have enough. I do a long tail cast on and I was running out of yarn every time. I think I tried like 3 times, and every time I had like the same amount of yarn left, even though it seemed to feel like I was like pulling extra yarn. By the time I got to the end, I still had like this much and like 10 or 15 stitches to go. So it was just like, what's going on? You know, here's the ball band for the colourway. It was from a yarn club, so I don't think you'll be able to get it now, unfortunately. It's the Tom Hickus Thrift from Myths and Legends Yarn Club. So yeah, but there's the tag. I love me some Noodle Soup yarn. So there we go. But yeah, and that's living in my bag from my like Halloweeny bag from the Fibre Box. Love these. And on here I have got my Eye of Sauron stitch marker that I made, and a leaf. I can't remember where the leaf came from. I think it came from no, I can't remember where it came from, but I love it, and it just, it reminds me of like the leaves of Lorien. Is it Lorien? That the Fellowship have on their cloaks, and I love it. So that's that one. Very nice. So yeah, I'd like to get that second sock cast on, because the pattern is really it's interesting if you want something that's more interesting than a vanilla sock, but it's not like, it doesn't take huge amounts of concentration. So yeah, so it's quite a good one to have on the go. So those are my 2 finished objects. I thought I had another one, but I don't. No, I don't. So let's move into, I'm going to move these down here because those are acquisitions. Boop. I feel like, yeah, you take 2 weeks off and suddenly I can't remember what I've talked to you about. So sorry about that. Let's look at the next whip. Living in my bag from Coffee and Yarn Cakes, one of my recent purchases. I think I showed these to you. But if not, here we go. Here's an acquisition ahead of time. This cute little mushroom on it. But yeah, I got 2 bags from, I'm now thinking I didn't show these to you. I got 2 bags from Coffee and Yarn Cakes, this one and a bigger one. And I just love them. I love anything with mushrooms. So there we go. This is another sample of my bookshelf socks. I changed the name and I keep going back to the old name and then confusing myself. I'd originally called it Bookshelves sock, but I think I find it harder to say, so it's Bookshelf socks now. So I don't know if that's actually any easier, but there we go. So here we are. I'm doing another sample just in one colour, because all of my other samples, or a lot of the other samples, either that test knitters are making or the ones that I've made, either they don't have the right heel so I can't photograph them for the pattern, or like the one that I showed you has got contrasting cuffs, heels and toes, and yeah, a couple of my test knitters just commented that it might be worth having pictures of it knit in one yarn if that's how my pattern is written, because I haven't said in the pattern like how to do the contrasting bits. So and I think they're right, like if I'm not going to tell people how to do the contrasting bits, then they shouldn't be the main pictures. So I wanted to make sure that I know a couple of other people are knitting just in one yarn, but I wanted to make sure that I had, you know, some options for photographs. So so yeah, this is my next one. I am mid heel flap. I was knitting this last night and I just got so tired that I couldn't even finish a full heel flap. The yarn is Regia. So I've never actually worked with a Regia yarn before, and I quite like it. So yeah, I'm knitting the largest size, and they will be for Andrew. So there we go. I just felt like Andrew needed some more hand knit socks. So there we are. And then this is a needle case cozy thing that I got. Oh no, I can't remember who made this. I can't remember, but there'll be a link down below. But yeah, I got this at East Anglia Yarn Fest. And it does work for circular needles, but it definitely works better for DPNs. So, and I feel like my enjoyment of knitting on DPNs is kind of having a bit of a revival. I've said a couple of times before that I have really loved working magic loop to the extent that I really hated working on DPNs. And it kind of put me off knitting a couple of my whips because they were on DPNs. But I don't know, something's changed and I just really I'm enjoying the DPNs again. I think I still prefer magic loop, but yeah, I think I could return DPNs to my rotation, which is great because it now means I've got, well, I think I've got like 5 sets of 2.25 DPNs, and so I can now cast on, well, 1 set is in here, so I've got 4 more sets of DPNs that I can use. So all the socks, oh no, one of them is in here, but anyway, so I have more options for casting on more socks. Next, I have been working again just a wee bit on another design that I'm working on. Yeah, this one's kind of living in my bag and I'm just, as and when I can, putting a little bit more work into this. Once I've finalised my bookshelf pattern, this one will sort of be the next thing that I'm looking for test knitters for, and hopefully it should be a little bit smoother because some of the numbers and things like that will be the same for this as for the other sock. So yeah, so there we are. So that's that one, and the yarn from that is from Skein and a Stitch and is called Tropical Fish, although I believe it is no longer available. I think I've said that before. Sorry, showing you all this yarn that's not available. And that's living in a project bag that I made with these little fairies on even. So I love this bag. So there we are. One more set of socks. I've had quite a good sock rotation going on. This bag I've had for probably about 10 or 12 years, maybe 12, yeah, maybe 12 years. And I really, really love it. And I got it in a swap on Ravelry. I feel like those were the days when, yeah, I don't know. I just did so many swaps on Ravelry and got things from people all over the world. But this is just so beautiful. And this is a pattern, not a pattern, this is a sock that I've been working on for a while. If you've been around here for a while, then you might recognise this sort of stripy shorty sock. I think I started knitting this last summer, maybe even longer ago than that. And I needed to quickly check something on a heel for my pattern. And these were like perfect for that because the top is so short. You know, I got through that bit in like probably like half an hour, cast on, get to the heel flap in half an hour, boom, could knit through a heel super quick just to check some numbers and things like that. And it also meant that I then had cast on the second sock from a pair that had been hanging around for ages. So yeah, and I'm now done with the gusset decreases and I am ready to start the foot. So yeah, these are like easy enough to take around with me if I'm going somewhere where maybe I'm gonna get like a little bit of quiet time to myself, but not but maybe still need to be just sort of like semi-aware of what's going on, because I'm changing colours every 2 rounds. I need to be able to keep track of that, so I don't really want to be chatting because I'll be like wanting to look at it. But yeah, if I was like, so I took these when I went to signing class on Wednesday. I took these because during the break we have like a break at 8 o'clock, and sometimes I like to chat, but sometimes if we've had a lot to like learn, or if we've done a lot of like interacting during the lesson, sometimes during the break I like to just kind of zone out and so I take some knitting with me to do that. So that's what I did during my break. So yeah, but because of the colour changes, I can't just sort of, it's not coffee shop knitting, so, but it's still probably quite good for watching telly maybe, if it was something I didn't really have to keep an eye on. But yeah, I've been working on those. And then the other thing that I have been working on, not as much as I would have liked, because it does take a little bit more concentration than I kind of initially thought, but that is my sea glass tee. I think I don't want to lose anything here, any stitches or anything. Yeah, I think I've done more on it since the last time we spoke. I finished the first time through on the colours, and I'm now going through and just putting them all in again. So there we go, got my Hobbit door from Adventures in Yarncraft. Got that at East Anglia Yarn Fest as well, that's sitting on there. So yeah, I need to get another, that's like my beginning of round marker. I'd like another one to go on the main body, like a progress keeper. So that would be quite good actually to show when I next show it to you. I can show you how much more I've done. But yeah, now that it's kind of, so before I was having to magic loop it, so I had like extra cord there, but now it's grown enough that it's just a sort of round and round, and that's one thing that has sped things up for it. The other thing that has, I think, sped things up a little bit, although I'm still kind of getting used to using it, is this. I got a knitting thimble, which just sits on your finger, and it's great for colour work because you can pass the yarns through these loops and then you can like knit colour work with just one hand, which I was doing anyway. I'd found a way to hold the yarns like over these 2 fingers, so I had one yarn coming through one finger and one yarn coming over the other finger, and I was able to sort of do that. It was a bit slow, and occasionally my tension would like slacken off and the yarn would slip, but it was okay. And given that my yarns are only, so this yarn is throughout the whole thing, and then my sort of contrasting colour yeah, my contrasting colour is changing every round. So that with this, it means I'm like threading up and then knitting around and then having to like untangle it all and then thread a new one. So I do like it, but I feel like there's a lot of yarn management going on. I think when I'm gonna knit another one of these because I love it, and I'm gonna knit that one a bit more sort of random, like scraps. And so I think then this will come into its own, because I'll make like a big magic knot ball basically, and then have like 2 of these going on, and it will allow me to, like, I won't be changing yarns. Sorry, I just got distracted there. My brain just like carried on without my consent. Yeah, so then I can instead of having like 2 different contrasting colours and swapping a contrasting colour every round, I will just have 2 balls that I'll just be pulling from constantly and working the colour work with. So this will be a lot more useful for that, I think. And also I want to do more colour work, and I think that this will help with some like issues that I've had with colour work being like super duper slow. So I'm really glad that I picked this up. I did just buy it off Amazon, which I'm ashamed to say, but I wanted it like, you know, immediately. So I bought that. I think also it's interesting. I feel like I have seen a lot more pictures of people who knit continentally. I think that's the right word for who knit not English style. I see a lot of people, like pictures of people who knit that way. I don't know that I found any pictures really of people who knit English style wearing it. So if you know of any like videos or images of people using it for English style knitting, let me know. And if not, maybe once I've like had a bit more practice with it, maybe I'll do a something or other on it, even if it's just a picture. Because yeah, when I googled it, all the pictures were of people who had it on their left hand, whereas I have it on my right. So there we go. And that is in my other new coffee and yarn cakes bag with this beautiful moon and like, I guess like lavender and other sort of pretty little flowers. It is maybe a little bit small for this project, but I don't care. So again, it's got this nice big handle on it. So, which is kind of interesting, like, actually, I feel like maybe less likely to use a handle on a larger bag, personally, but I guess, I don't know. I guess you could maybe put a couple of small projects in if you were like taking it on holiday or something. You could put a couple of small projects in and then, I don't know. But anyway, that's it for whips. Quite pleased with what I'm working on at the moment. I definitely want to cast on a pair of vanilla socks, and when I say that, I mean it this time. Completely vanilla, nothing like, no, probably not even like contrasting heels and toes and things, because I just need to knit a pair of socks and not have to really think about anything. So yeah, but we'll see, because I do like a contrasting cuff and toe. So we'll see. But on that note, let's move on to acquisitions. One of these I've had for a little while, and I don't think I showed it to you. I don't think it arrived in time for my last podcast. So that is the final yarn from the Hobbit collection from Giddy Yarns, and this is the Wandering Wizard, and I am so pleased with it. It is Beautiful. Yeah, I kind of don't think I want to make socks with this because it's such a light colour. I'm just like, would they just look grubby quickly? Maybe I want to hold this, like use this and another colour and make something else, like a shawl or something like that. I don't know, but I really like it. I really like it. So yeah, so that arrived. Really excited to have that to add to my collection. Next, if you have not received your which month? March Video Game Landscape Club yarn from Gamer Crafting, which I would be surprised because I've had this for a while. But if you haven't received it, look away now because I'm going to show you the March colourways. Here they are, and the colourways are Doom and Legend of Zelda. So that this one is Doom. No, wait, hang on, no, this one is Doom, and this one is Legend of Zelda. So those are really nice. I am behind on my blanket. I have put them away now, so if you were looking away, you can look back. I'm behind on my blanket. Do you want to see my blanket? We'll have a look at the blanket. Living in this bag, which was from Jibby Sews, I think. Is that right? Yeah, Jibby Sews. So I've got I've got 3. Oh, that's okay. I'm further on than I thought. 3 squares complete. And I have the like barest minimum cast on of the 4th square. These do not take me very long at all. They take me, if I'm like working on these like sort of exclusively, it takes me like 2 days of like, you know, 2 evenings maybe even. So so yeah, okay, so because I thought I only had 2, and I thought I was like close to the end of my 3rd, which kind of was like a bit like, oh god, I've got to catch up so far. But actually, if I've cast on the 4th and I've got the 5th and 6th colourway, then I'm not that far behind. What is it? 21st. So I've probably got like a week or 2 until the next ones arrive. So really, I could catch up. This is the problem with having so many projects on the go, is I just want to knit on them all. And like, I think I mention this every week, but my goals for the year, my knitting goals for the year, are to just knit on what I want to knit on. Like, you know, got 5 minutes of knitting time, what do I want to knit on? That's what I want to knit on. Okay, but right now I want to knit on all of my projects, and so I still have to pick. And so then still an element of like, oh well, maybe this one is like, you know, I want to work on it, but maybe this one is more like pressing, you know, like the socks that I'm knitting for Andrew, I'd like to give him a pair for his birthday, and his birthday is like the beginning of May. So I'm thinking like, well, if I can't choose between the projects that I want to be working on, then I'll work on the one that, yeah, has like a slight deadline. But it still means that I'm missing out on knitting the other ones, even though I want to knit on Andrew socks. So yeah, it's still tricky, but it kind of makes me feel like having a rotation, like a sort of, so to allow myself to knit on whatever I want, but if I get to a point where I'm like, I want to knit on everything, have something in place that just takes the choosing out of it. Like, even if it's just like rolling a dice to pick which one I'm gonna do, just to take the choice out of it. Like, I'm not at the point where I'm ending up not knitting on anything. I am, if I want to knit, I'm knitting on something, which is where I want it to be, because previously it's been, I haven't been able to choose what to work on, so I haven't knit on anything because of like the guilt of not working on what I should be working on. But now it's like, I just want to work on everything. Okay, I'll just pull one out and I'll just work on that. which is nice. But yeah, it sometimes means that like the blanket is like falling behind because it's like, oh well, I want to work on it, but there's some lace, so it would just be easier to work on something else. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I've still got another thing to show you. This is some Handspun that my mum spun for me. So I really am so excited to use this. And here it is. Ooh, I kind of, when she showed me the singles, because she was sort of sending me pictures and she's like, what do you think? Do you like it? And we kind of chatted a little bit about the plying and things like that, because I was like, what are your plans for plying? And she was like, oh, I don't really know, like it depends what you want, because it had quite nice, like reasonably long sections of like colour, so could potentially be like chain plied to preserve those sections of colour if that's what I wanted, so I could get like a little bit of a stripe going on. But when I saw the singles, I just knew that it could make almost like the Zauber balls, the magic balls, with these kind of like, or like a spin cycle, you know, with those kind of like barber pole, with the like the barber pole look. And it really works because it has got some small sections where like the same colour like overlaps with itself, so it's like here is like a sort of just a green, but then somewhere else the green will have like interacted with like a pink or something, and so you just get like this really beautiful barber pole that really like blends really nicely. So I'm so excited to knit on these. I think that there is definitely enough for a pair of socks, and it has got nylon in it, so it is sock appropriate. And my mum has spun it up very evenly, like so beautiful, that I think it is going to be a good weight for sock knitting. I might knit it on a 2.5 rather than a 2.25, because I think there are areas where it is, I think there are more areas where it's a slightly heavier fingering weight, more areas like that rather than areas where it's on the thinner side. So I think I will go for a 2.5. Yeah, I just need to decide what I'm going to do with it, how I'm going to use it to kind of get the most out of it. I kind of really want not to waste any. I would love it if I could just make, you know, this into a sock and use every little piece. But to do that, I would probably have to do toe up, and I don't like doing toe up. I've never been really happy with a pair of toe up socks that I've made. So yeah, so I don't know. I might just have to accept that I'm not going to get, I'm going to have leftovers, and I will definitely have things that I can do with the leftovers. It can go into my cozy memories blanket, it can go into my habitation throw, like I can use all of it even if they don't go into the socks. But yeah, I'm kind of like wanting them to be in the socks. I don't know. And do I want to do like a contrasting cuffs, heels, toes deal so that the like main body of the sock really shows off the colour and everything? I've got like a really nice green that's like pretty much this green in the middle, so I think that would look nice on the like for a contrast. But then will the weight difference cause an issue there, because I think this will be slightly heavier than like a commercial fingering weight. I don't know, so I'm gonna give it some thought and we'll see. But yeah, I'm so excited to get working on these. So yeah, I'm like, oh, maybe I could do like a provisional cast on and then like could go back and add the contrasting cuffs if I decided that I wanted it, and if not, then I could just finish up in that yarn. But that just feels complicated to an extent that it doesn't need to be. So yeah, but that is it for knitting content in this episode. I'm going to move now into life stuff, and if that's not of interest to you, then thank you very much for watching and I will see you next time. But if you would like to stick around for life stuff, then stick around. Yeah, our Easter holiday was, oh sorry, I keep kicking this. Our Easter holiday was very nice and relaxing. Yeah, the kids were both out on the Wednesday of the first week of the Easter holidays, and then the Wednesday and the Friday of the second week of Easter holidays. They went to like holiday club and nursery, so that was nice. And yeah, on the first Wednesday I think I just chilled out. I did record the like whip wrap up video, and then like I said, I watched it through and was just like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling this. Then the Friday was Good Friday, so they were at home and my husband was off, so we just did stuff. We had a really like quiet Easter weekend. Andrew had a running race on Easter Sunday, which we went to, and the weather was lovely, so that was nice. And then yeah, and then the next week was just kind of normal. And at the end of the week my in-laws came to visit, which was really nice. Yeah, we were just like pleasantly busy. It wasn't like exhausting, but you know, it was like, I felt like we did stuff. We didn't just like waste the Easter break. And it was really nice because I think like, I don't know, the first half term, this is Aiden's first year at school. So the first half term was like, I'm so glad to have you back. Like, I've missed you so much. So that was nice. And also it's just a week. So even though I don't feel like he like recharged enough, he was tired going back to school. Like, we had a restful week that first half term, and it was nice to have him home. Christmas, obviously, Christmas is like really exciting for little kids, and so he was like just hyper and exhausted. So the Christmas holidays were a bit and like, he went to a holiday club the days that he was able to go to a holiday club, but I think it was like 1 day a week he could go because of where Christmas fell, and with like, maybe he went 2 days a week, but I can't remember exactly. But you know, there were a couple of days that he went to the holiday club and he really liked that, but that just made me even more tired because he goes to like an outdoor forest school thing, so they're just exhausted. And also with it being cold as well, like, they're burning energy keeping themselves warm. So yeah, and there wasn't an awful lot on to do, and I had a couple of markets, so I was kind of working as well during bits of it, so it was like tiring. And he still felt so little to be at school, and he gave off that like impression that he was just like too young to be in school, so he was so tired. And then we've had like half terms since then that have been nice. You know, it's kind of like, oh yeah, a week, that's like easy. Having you back for a week, easy. And again, he went to holiday, like to like this forest school does like half term, covers half term. So he like 2 days there. It was like, well, yeah, you know, that's great. So yeah, the last half term was like easy, but again, I don't feel like half term is quite enough time for them to recharge. So it's like going back, he was still a bit like, ah. But the Easter holidays, I feel like he like finished off the term definitely ready for a break, but like with more energy than he's finished other terms or other half terms. So we started well with the Easter holidays, and we were just like, yeah, pleasantly busy. Like it was just like the weather was much nicer, so we just got out a little bit more. And like, yeah, I don't know, there was just something different about this Easter break that was like, it got to the end of the second week and I was like, I don't want you to go back to school. And I was like, yeah, not expecting, the cat wants to go out. Yeah, I was like not expecting to feel that way. You know, it's hard, it's hard when the routine changes of them being in school and then they're at home. And yeah, the routine naturally changes. But like I just embraced like the slightly slower mornings. And yeah, I mean, the weather change definitely helps when you've got them at home and it's like raining and freezing. It's really hard and they're just like bouncing off the walls. But yeah, like it was so nice and it just felt good to be sad that he was going back to school. But it's so funny because like in previous times I'd be like, I think you're ready to go back to school, i.e. I'm ready for you to go back to school. And he'd be like, I don't want to go back. And then this time it was like, I don't want you to go back. And he was like, I'm so excited to go back to school. He was like ready to see his friends. Yeah, so it was really like, I would much rather he be excited to go back to school and happy to see his friends and like just be positive. And like the feedback from his teachers this week has been that he's like been like more helpful in the classroom and his like behavior has been better. Like I think that he is now ready to be in school. And over the Easter holidays we did like a bit of reading. Like I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to do loads of like homework with you because it's supposed to be a break. I want to keep on top of things that you could possibly forget, like some reading stuff and things like that, but I'm not going to be like, I don't know, going crazy. But yeah, something this week, his reading has just clicked. Yesterday he just couldn't stop reading. He just wanted me to get him another, they have these little books that are like 3-page long stories. And he just wanted me to like get the next one and the next one and the next one. So yeah, so it's just felt really nice. Keep your eye open on Instagram for more pictures of my wonderful test knitters socks. And then also keep your eyes open for the release. I'm very excited. It's going to be available on Ravelry and also on another like digital download thing like PayHip or something like that. So if you're not able to use Ravelry, it will still be available to you. I just need to figure out the best place for my alternative purchases. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. And I will see you again next time. Bye.